Thank you so much. Thank you. So welcome. Good morning, everybody. Great to see you or see your names if that's the case. And again, if you prefer to stay off camera, do what works for you. That is fine. We're so happy to have you here to talk about the 2022 Social Impact Fellows Program. And as I said, welcome. My mug is the first one you see there on that slide. I'm Maureen Hammett with the School of Social Work. Officially, I'm the Vice Dean and Chief of Staff with the School of Social Work. I have a couple of colleagues with me this morning, and I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves. Kerry.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kerry Gardner. I'm Director of Internships and Experiential Learning in the School of Management, and I work in the Career Resource Center. So it's great to see everyone.
Thank you, Kerry. And Amy?
Hi, my name is Amy Bayroll. I'm the project assistant for the Social Impact Fellows, and I'm the office manager for the School of Social Work.
Thank you, Amy. And the fourth individual on the slide, who unfortunately her schedule prohibited her from joining us this morning, Caitlin Hoekstra. Caitlin is with the College of Arts and Sciences. I believe she is their Director of Experiential Programs, and she's sort of the point person from the college for the college's involvement with the Social Impact Fellows Program. A couple of housekeeping things before we move along here. If you wouldn't mind dropping your name and the name of your organization in the chat, and then Amy's going to sort of gather that information, that would be helpful to us. So just drop your name and the name of your organization in the chat, and we would very much appreciate that. We're really not going to be doing questions throughout the session, but we will have ample time when the session wraps for any and all questions that you may have. So we would ask that you please just sit tight. But after you sit tight, we welcome whatever questions you might have about the program after we get through our presentation this morning. And with that, I think I'm going to move along. So first slide, Social Impact Fellows Program and how it works. So FYI, if it might be of interest to you, this will be our 5th year of offering this program. It would have been our 6th year, but 2020, as you might imagine, we had to take a pause on the program due to the pandemic. So this is year number 5. The program is a collaboration between the School of Social Work, the School of Management, and the College of Arts and Sciences. And as it says there, to connect students to the concepts of social innovation. The way it works is that fellows serve on multidisciplinary teams. So there will be 10 teams matched to 10 partner or host organizations. Each team will consist of 1 MBA student, 1 MSW student, and 1 grad level student from the College of Arts and Sciences. The students from the college tend to come from any number of disciplines. And what they do over an 8-week summer placement period is they develop innovative solutions to a particular project or a particular initiative as outlined by the organization or proposed by the organization to which they are matched. By the way, we're fortunate this morning, and Cassie, I hope you don't mind me calling you out, but we actually have a former fellow on the call with us who now is working with Goodwill Industries. And Cassie, I'm assuming you're here because Goodwill is interested in potentially hosting a team this summer.
Oh yeah, as soon as Tom forwarded me the email, I was like, we have to apply to be a host organization, because I'd love to see the other side of, I've been a fellow now, I'd love to be able to help students now. So
excellent. Yeah, we're so glad you're here, and it's sort of bonus. So when we get to Q&A, if anybody has a question they want to direct to Cassie as a former student participant. Cassie, I'm assuming you'll be game for that?
Oh, absolutely.
Excellent. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So as I mentioned earlier, it's essentially it's an 8-week placement period during the summer, full-time. Again, as you might imagine, to be determined whether this year's program will be place-based, virtual, or hybrid. Last year, we did have the program and it was hybrid. And it worked. I mean, there were, a couple of hiccups here and there, but it ultimately worked. And if that's what it comes down to again this year, of course, we are confident we will see that through, and it will work for both students and the organizations. Students who participate, and it is a competitive program. The selection process for both students and organizations is competitive. The fellows who we do select, and so it's 10 from each of those 3 disciplines, 10 management students, 10 social work students, 10 College of Arts and Sciences students. They will all receive a $5,000 stipend for their participation. And with that, I'm going to take a quick break if the tech gods will cooperate with me. I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to reshare again, if all goes well. And we're going to play a very, very short video for you. It is 3 minutes long, or just over 3 minutes, but we think it gives you a good overall sense of the program. Kerry, could you tell me, are you seeing the video screen?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Here we go.
Childhood poverty is a big issue in the community, specifically Buffalo, so there's a need for beds for these children to have.
We were tasked to look at the Beds for Buffalo program and how we can sustain the growth into the future.
The Social Impact Fellowship is a program that brings together 3 disciplines. We have a fellow from the School of Management, a fellow from the School of Social Work, and a fellow from the College of Arts and Sciences.
I'm a big believer in the fact that our students in the college bring real live expertise to current social problems. So the more that I can engage my serious PhD students, the ones who are serious researchers, in thinking of themselves as actually solving present-day problems for people right here, right now, the better off we are in making that bridge outside the academy to show our value to the outside world.
I've been in the department for 2 years. 2 years of coursework meant a lot of reading and a lot of time within the university space. I felt like I needed to be outside of that space. I needed to experience the city firsthand.
Social innovation is coming up with new creative approaches to address societal challenges that we have.
One of the things we know about innovation is that when you bring diverse perspectives together, you're more likely to get innovation.
I think we might get stuck in our own ways sometimes. It's good to have everyone come together because you might be blind to certain things that other group members help you open your eyes to.
Legworks is a for-profit social organization which is quite unique for startups. What we want to do is present what Legworks does in an impactful and concise manner.
I feel very lucky in that our team gets along very well. We're all very open-minded, flexible people.
Abid is very analytical. Derek is probably the most creative person I've ever met. He is always coming up with a new idea. And I bring that social work perspective into it. So thinking about human rights, thinking about being trauma-informed.
We always talk about diversity. I think this is what true diversity means, bringing people from different backgrounds together. And I was able to witness this firsthand and how powerful that is.
At the pitch event, students get to showcase the work that they did during the summer. And they're all vying for some small prizes that they can use in order to implement the work that they've done.
And there's been ups, there's been downs, but at the end of the day, we all recognize that we're here to do something positive.
At other universities, it's very hard to get something going from the School of Management, the School of Social Work, and the College of Arts and Sciences, all working together in a city in real time to solve real problems. I think this kind of program makes you be tremendously special.
Okay, and with that, I'm going to attempt to go back and share the PowerPoint. And Kerry, can you tell me, is that full screen for folks?
Yeah, it looks great.
Wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So again, we think that video, which interestingly enough, prominently features Cassie. I don't know if folks noticed that, but that video was completed the year that she participated in the program with Cassie, remind me. I know your project was sort of creating beds. It was for the Service Collaborative?
Yeah, it was a service collaborative for their Beds for Buffalo program.
Yeah. So thank you again for being featured in that video. I should also just mention, we have had a dean change at the School of Social Work. So Dean Nancy Smith, who was featured in that video and was a huge and passionate proponent of this collaboration. She has retired from the dean's role. She is actually returning to the School of Social Work in the fall as a faculty member. But our brand new dean, Dean Keith Alford, who started with us late last summer, is equally passionate and equally on board and supportive with the program. The last couple things on this slide, if you received communications from Amy, you would have already received this link embedded in that email. But here is the link again to the application, the online application form, and a reminder that those applications are due by Monday, February 28th at midnight. And FYI, I always like to give folks a heads up about this. The online program that we use for the application process does not allow you to complete a partial application and then go back and complete it, finish it off at a later time. So you are going to have to, complete and submit in one fell swoop. So what I typically advise people to do is, if you want, it's not particularly complicated, the prompts in the application. You could certainly capture your responses like in a Word document and then just copy and paste them into the Cognito form. So I typically like to give that little hint or tip. Also, I am reminded, or I'm remembering, that I forgot to give another important reminder. You might have noticed on that first slide with the pictures of the four of us that Amy's name was in a different colored font, and that was deliberate. And that was so that I would remember to remind you all that if you have questions after the session today, and if you need to reach out, for whatever reason, Amy is probably your best point of contact because she will likely be able to be most quickly responsive. And she'll also be able, if she doesn't have the answer at hand, she'll be able to track it down on your behalf very quickly. So you are certainly welcome to reach out to any of us, but it might be to your advantage to have your first point of contact be with Amy. Okay. We love to sprinkle some fun photos throughout our presentation. That is a photo of the first place team from the pitch competition, and we'll talk about the pitch competition in just a few minutes. That is an integral part of the Social Impact Fellows program. So the first place team from 2021 was a team that was paired with the Western New York Women's Foundation. Carly is on, well, my left. She's our MSW student. Jessie on the right was our College of Arts and Science student. And oh my goodness, I'm blanking on our management.
It's Sydney March from the MBA program.
Thank you, Kerry. And I believe this photo was taken after those three young women knew that they had won first place. So hence the big smiles on their faces. So this is a pretty important slide to cover with you all, and probably things you're wondering about. Responsibilities for partner organizations. So if you decide to apply, and if you are one of the 10 sites that are selected for the program, what does that mean for you and what are the expectations? Number one, providing an engaging environment where innovation can be explored and applied, again, using a multidisciplinary strategy. So we ask you to think about a particular project or initiative that lends itself well to bringing together a student from management, a student from social work, and a student from arts and sciences, bringing together those diverse skill sets and backgrounds for maximum value and maximum impact. We also ask you to be thoughtful about a project or initiative that really lends itself to an 8-week time frame. That's not to say that the students are going to completely solve or address a pressing problem or issue in 8 weeks, but whatever the framework of it, or excuse me, the parameters that you outline is something they can reasonably tackle during 8 weeks. Often, not always, but often during that 8-week period, the students are really giving the organization a great foundation or running start on a particular issue. And then after the program ends, the fellowship ends, and the team is no longer working with the organization has enough there that they can then pick it up and carry on. So, and again, if you have questions about all of that, we'll be happy to cover them with you in a few moments. We ask, of course, that you provide encouragement, provide appropriate supervision and mentoring to the students, that you be accessible. One of the things we'll ask you on the application is which individual or individuals from your organization will take on the primary responsibility of supervision and mentoring. They of course will need access to whatever data or information from your organization they may need access to do the work on your behalf. We have had organizations in the past who have asked our student fellows to sign, I'm blanking on the
confidentiality agreements.
Thank you, Kerry. That's why we make a good pair.
It's actually pretty standard these days. It happens on many of our internship sites. So if it's something that makes you more comfortable, the students are aware of what those are, and it's perfectly fine to have them sign off on.
Yep. Thank you, Kerry. So again, it's important that you've identified who from your organization will be working regularly with these students. Depending on whether the program is place-based or hybrid, it's going to be one of those two. I don't anticipate it's going to be completely virtual, but there may be a need for you to identify some space at, whatever your organization, wherever your headquarters are, or your offices are located, for the students to work from or work out of. Even when we had 100% place-based programs, the first 3 years of social impact fellows, we often had students who worked part of the week on site at their organization, and at other times they worked remotely, even on campus at a place. They would just work together on behalf of the organization. We also would ask that you assist students in capturing their project accomplishments. We would ask that members of your organization attend both our project launch planning session and our pitch for a cause competition. We're going to talk more about both of those events in just a few minutes. We will ask that you sign off and return a memorandum of understanding. You may be asked to provide bus passes for transportation access if necessary with the students who are assigned to your program. And then the last note there says that if you are selected, you would officially meet your student team at the early June project launch session. However, you are welcome to engage with your student team as soon as you receive their contact information. So once we make those matches, and once we know which student team is assigned to which organization, we will share those students' names and email addresses with the primary contacts from the organizations. And you are welcome to reach out and engage and meet for coffee or whatever works for you and makes sense for you prior to the program officially getting underway in June. This is just one of the things that I think all of us at UB who work on social impact, the Social Impact Fellows program, one of the things we most enjoy is the very rich and robust feedback we receive from both student participants and organization participants about what a valuable and impactful experience it was for them. So these are just a couple of quotes. Quite frankly, I had many. I could have chosen from, but these are a couple of quotes that I thought were significant. One individual saying that it was one of the few internships that had real deliverables at the end. I felt like a real and tangible piece of work was completed that will help our organization move forward in a strategic way. And another comment about how the program helped us further understand how we could plan to develop a social enterprise. We are much closer to implementation than we would have been without the fellows. The photo there is actually the team from, it's the construction company.
I can't recall. Was it Iroquois?
It's Oneida.
Oneida.
Oneida Sales and Service. Oneida Sales and Service was a for-profit representative or partner in the program in 2018. And if I recall correctly, I think the Oneida team won first prize that year in the pitch competition.
They did win a prize.
Yeah. By the way, and I neglected to say this, so we have had over the course of the 4 years of the program, we have had a total of 36 different organizations who have participated, and it has broken down 31 nonprofits and 5 for-profits. And that's, so in a typical year, with 10 organizations participating, 8 to 9 of them will be nonprofits and 1 to 2 of them will be for-profits. That's pretty common or typical. And by the way, if it might be helpful for you to see a master list of the organizations and the projects, and the list, the project descriptions in the list are really just thumbnail descriptions. They're not, they're a sentence or two describing what the team did for that organization. We have that available. You could email Amy and Amy would be happy to get that out to you if that might be something of interest to you. And with that, I'm going to advance it. And Kerry, I think this is where we're switching gears and you're in the driver's seat.
Thanks, Maureen. That was really great information. And very detailed. And I'm just going to admit right now that in future slides during this presentation, when we have photos of students, I may not be able to recall all of their names. So I'm just putting that little disclaimer out there right now. But this slide tells you a little bit about how we're going to flow through the program. This provides our dates. So the fellows participate in what we refer to as a social innovation course with faculty. And we have our faculty, we can tell you a little bit about them in a future slide. The social innovation course really walks the students through the mission of the fellowship, what we're trying to do, what it means to be innovative and socially minded, what it means really to take the awareness and to build out the awareness of the issues right here in Western New York, but to better understand that many communities struggle and have challenges with making sure that they can deliver the services of their organizations, especially now during COVID and as we emerge, hopefully from COVID. So the social innovation course really covers a lot of different elements of the idea of how to be innovative and how to apply your ideas in a productive way, in a strategic way, and how to think about all of the different elements that each one of the team members would bring to a project. You heard in the video the appreciation for everyone's different skill set and how that could be applied to the concepts of social innovation. So the students are well prepared prior to their engagement in the projects that our site host organizations present to them. Shortly after that, we have the project launch, and this is really the first time that everyone gets a chance to come together and sort of talk through what the experience will look like. It's a 2-day event. Day 1 is more geared for the fellows, again, to sort of talk through what they can expect with their projects, to get revved up, to ask their questions, to form some additional rapport with our faculty and with each other. And then on day 2, we will be asking the participation of the representatives of our host organizations As Maureen said, you'll know prior to this who your team is, and you're more than welcome to reach out to them prior to this, but this is like the formal launch of the program and the opportunity to get together with teams. We ask questions, we have a couple of activities during the launch, but it's overall a really great way to kick off the experience of the placement. Right after the project launch, wasting no time, we expect that the projects will begin. So the student teams will engage with you, and they will be available to, these are the dates that we have outlined for the placement or the internship, as we sometimes refer to it. And in the way that the student team would approach their engagement, our expectation is that they are available to you full-time. You will define what you consider to be full-time with the team. So the idea is that the team is available to you during whatever you define as your normal or consistent business hours. And they are ready and committed to participate, whether that, again, is on site or virtually. But the idea is that they're accessible to you during that time, and during that same time, that if they're running into questions or they need extra mentoring or guidance, that there is an individual within your organization that would be available to them during that time. Certainly, you want to think about onboarding them. Some of the logistics can be discussed during day 2 of the project launch, but then you'll want to think about how you're going to onboard and orient the student to your organization at the beginning of the placement. And then from that point forward, it tends to work out in terms of how the student team wants to dedicate their time. But Monday through Thursday is the requirement for the team to be working on your project. On Fridays, they won't be available. They're not engaging directly with their sites on Fridays, because on Fridays, they're going to participate in a half-day session with our faculty. And this serves many purposes. Our hope during this is that the students will be able to debrief with the faculty. They'll be able to ask questions. They'll be able to share best practices, share their accomplishments, get excited, brag a little bit about how things are going on their projects, of course, but also to kind of think through and ask questions of the team. This is a really great opportunity to do sharing, and it's a great opportunity for them to interact with the faculty regarding anything that they might have questions with. In the past, and of course, we're still trying to figure this out as we move forward. In the past, we have also engaged our fellows as a whole unit, as a whole group, in community excursions. And this was actually a feedback and some requests that we received from the fellows, that they would like to be together more. They would like to have an opportunity to serve in the community. And so in the past, we've been able to get them out doing tours or doing some engagement. I'm just saying right now, it hasn't been figured out yet, mainly due to COVID, and just thinking through what that might look like for the summer. But that is on the docket for us to be talking about and finalizing with our faculty. And then the most exciting part, I think, of the program is our opportunity to hear from our teams what they have worked on, the innovative solutions that they have generated through their placement, and they participate in what we call a pitch for a cause. It is the culminating event of the fellowship, and it is an opportunity for the teams to win funding for their organization related to the implementation of the strategies that they will be presenting as part of the pitch for a cause. We call it a culminating event, certainly, but the work throughout the 8 weeks is the meaningful work, and we don't want the entire fellowship value to be placed on the pitch for a cause, but the pitch for a cause serves lots of purposes. It allows us, like I said, to listen to the teams. It allows the teams to really put their ideas together in a formal and concrete fashion, and it allows them to practice what it feels like to make a proposal. So basically, they're pitching, here's what we learned through our research and our engagement with the site. Here are our solutions to the challenge or the project that the organization presented to us. This is what we think would work. Here's what we modeled. They might present a pricing matrix, for example. They might present analytics. They could present future goals. They could do forecasting. It's really up to you and the team what that pitch is going to consist of. And it's up to the students to figure out how they're going to present it. On those Fridays, those half-day sessions on Fridays, some of those will be used for the teams to actually rehearse and formulate their pitch and make sure that they're delivering it in a way that is understandable and productive during the Pitch for a Cause event. Those pitches are timed. We do have a panel of judges that participate. Those are leaders from the community that we identify, and they join in, they judge, and then we have a little awards kind of session at the end of the Pitch for a Cause for event. It's very, very important for us to have participation and an audience for this event. Everyone, the faculty's there, we're there, all the fellows are there. Usually there's one participant from each organization, but it's fine to have colleagues attend. It's actually better, I think, for the students. I think right now our hope is to do this in person. Is that correct, Maureen? I think that's our hope.
Yes, for sure, for sure.
We did it in person the last session. It went well, and it's just better in person. So that's our goal, barring anything that may happen out there in the world. But that is our goal, to do that in person. I will ask Maureen, was there anything throughout the slide that I missed that you would like to share?
No, I think the only thing thank you, Kerry. The only thing I would add is just an FYI that the prize money, so we award 2 prizes, first and second place, and it is fairly nominal amounts. The first place prize is $2,000 and the second place prize is $1,000. But again, that money goes back to the organization, as Kerry pointed out. That's about the only thing I would say, Kerry. I'm going to forward along, okay?
Sure. This is a picture of our team from 2018 who did a service project with the University Heights Tool Library, and they named themselves the Tooligans, and it's just so fun. I mean, this is the type of camaraderie that we hope develops between the students on the team, and this is just a really great picture of them outside of the tool library in the summertime. Okay, so a little bit more about the Pitch for a Cause. These are some pictures from last year's pitch. The pitches are 5 minutes, so they're very succinct. The students are tasked with getting all of the elements of the pitch across within those 5 minutes, and they're not allowed more than that. The panel of judges, though, could have some Q&A for the students, and so they are challenged if some of the concepts that they're presenting are not clear, or the judges have identified that they maybe ought to have presented a certain element that was missing from the pitch. And so there is a brief Q&A that's allowed for each team. They really do need to drive home why their organization should receive the funding and how that funding is related to the implementation of their ideas. And then, as we said, we have a lot of fun at the pitch. Here's some more pictures of our teams presenting. This is from various years. Actually, no, this is from last year as well.
Yeah, I think
you can see the second place team there from Push Buffalo.
Yeah, and I think this team up here, I think that was the Belmont Housing team.
Yes, it was. Yes.
And the three individuals presenting here, I think represented the University of Buffalo Educational Opportunity Program.
Yes, and I will add that one of the MBA students stayed on after the experience and helped to develop job descriptions, internship descriptions, and we have been able to provide interns to that office as a result of part of the engagement in the pitch. So it's always nice to see that. As a matter of fact, several of the organizations that have participated in the Social Impact Fellows have decided to create internships as a result, and that ends up being an ongoing relationship that we can have with the organization. Some of the benefits to students, I mean, some of them I think are just apparent from their engagement and from that video that you watched. And Cassie could probably attest to some of this. You know, part of our mission is really that when students, after they graduate and get out into the real world, they're interacting with a diverse range of backgrounds, personalities, ethnicities, you know, orientations. And we really want the students to understand what it means to be productive and to benefit from the idea that you get different points of view and you can bring them together to solve a problem. So we want them to learn about social innovation. And that's built in, obviously, in all those different components that I outlined about the program. It's an opportunity for them to network with our organizations and to learn from our organizations and to build that sense of community and dedication that maybe they otherwise would not have considered had they not participated in the fellowship. Lots of collaboration, lots of out-of-the-box thinking, critical thinking, problem solving, planning, being very strategic in how an organization would implement. I do think that sometimes when students think about nonprofits, they're not really aware that nonprofits have to run exactly like a business, if not sometimes more, based on where the grant funding is coming from, if the how the organization is funded, what the budget looks like. I think sometimes that's something that the students don't realize until they get involved in the nonprofit sector. And that knowledge hopefully is transferable forward into future endeavors that they may have. And you can see at the bottom of the slide here, there's more quotes about the value that the students gained from participating in the fellowship. So we have a question. I see a question in the chat. I'm going to just quickly get through these next slides and then we can talk a little bit more about any questions that you may have. So this is one of our faculty members, Michael Lynch. He's a clinical assistant professor from the School of Social Work, and Michael helps to instruct the students that are participating in the fellowship. And he comes from, you know, a social work perspective and adds that to the course that the students participate in, along with the half-day sessions on Fridays, and also just sort of helps to, both of our faculty help to kind of formulate overall what the curriculum looks like and if we need to make changes from year to year based on what we're seeing in the industry and what we're hearing from our partner organizations. And our second faculty is Tom Murdoch. He's a clinical assistant professor of entrepreneurship in the School of Management. And Tom brings with him many years of interacting with startups and interacting with workforce initiatives. And so he brings that perspective to the fellowship and shares that perspective with the students as well. And Tom participates in the Friday half-day sessions.
And I just wanted to add very quickly, we will also have to be identified faculty member from the College of Arts and Sciences who is integrated into the course. The college is currently determining which faculty member is the best match for the program. And we're anticipating hearing that information soon, but there will be a third member of the faculty team who is representing the college in at least the course. I'm not sure if the representative from the college will be integrated throughout the 8-week placement period, but they will be helping to deliver the content in that 3-day social innovation course that Kerry talked about a few minutes ago.
And this is just a picture of all of our fellows together. It gives you a sense of how large the program is. And the students, I mean, our feedback has just been fabulous. Some of the students have described their engagement in the Social Impact Fellows program as life-changing. Some of them have told us that they have changed their career direction because of what they learned and what they gained. We've had School of Management students decide to go into the nonprofit industry. We have one of them on the call with us today. But we've had lots of students talk about this is an opportunity that really opened their eyes to help them think differently about how they want to spend their time and what energizes them. Even if they don't change their career path, it at least makes them informed about the needs within the community in which they live. So it's a really great program. You know, it's for us, it's blood, sweat, and tears. We really love this program so much, and we're so excited that we get this much participation from year to year. I also just want to add one quick thing before we take questions, and that would be that, you know, we know that life happens and things change and plans are made, and then priorities shift, and we really do understand that is always a possibility through those 8 weeks. What we hope, though, is that the core of the project that you're providing to the students, that the core is retained. And we also hope that if there are changes within your organization or your leadership teams or the individuals who are engaging with the fellows, that you feel comfortable to reach out to us to let us know so that we can be of assistance to you if you need it. And also that you identify somebody who can stay accessible to the fellows during those 8 weeks so that they can stay on track and you can get the most out of the teams. It's a very important element, I think, of the experiences, that they feel that they have access to you when they need it. And so you might set up weekly meetings, you might set up, you know, 3 times a week check-ins. I mean, it's really up to you how you choose to go about that, but we want you to feel comfortable to share with us if there are changes within the organization during that time, that you can let us know, and we're happy to assist you and support you in any way that we can.
Thank you, Kerry. That was a great point. Also, I just wanted to say before we open it up for questions, if any of you joined us late and didn't hear me say this at the onset of our time together this morning, if you wouldn't mind dropping your name and the organization that you are representing into the chat, that is how we are keeping track of who is with us this morning. So if you haven't yet done that, and you could just take a moment to do that, we would greatly appreciate it. And also, if you didn't hear me say this previously, Amy Bayerl, who is on the call with us representing the program and from the School of Social Work, any follow-up you have after today's session, although you could reach out to any one of us, your best, probably your most efficient way of getting a quick response might be to contact Amy, and she'll be getting back to you just as quickly as she can. And Amy, maybe you can drop your email into the chat for those who didn't see it when we had that slide up much earlier. And with that, we are happy to entertain any and all questions you have for either any one of us, including Cassie, our former student fellow who is on the call with us this morning. So ask away. You could either just unmute and ask, or raise your hand, whatever, you know, or use the hand raise function, whatever works for you.
I think we do have one question in the chat from Tristan. Hi, Tristan. We have an appointment later this week. You asked a question. Go ahead and share it with the group. I'm interested in what your thinking is behind the question that you asked.
So my question is, can 2 organizations partner on a project? And I'm not sure what those impacts might be towards like pitch prizes and all of that, but more because I work for a data analytics agency, and to do a project, we would need to work with somebody to use their data, right? So I would probably need a partner to propose a program here.
Yeah, that's a great question. So first off, we've not yet done anything of that nature in our previous 4 years of offering this program, but that's not to say we couldn't do it. We'd certainly have to get creative to make that work. Kerry, what other thoughts do you have?
I would think it would really depend on how well formulated the project is, and making sure that so Tristan, if I'm understanding you, you're serving organizations by helping them understand the data that they're collecting. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so you would need a data set, or you would need a project proposed, and then you could help steer the project. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So, I mean, I could push this a few different ways, but there's a reporting idea that we would like to pursue that we could, at the end of it, productize and make available to other similar agencies, right? So it has a reusable nature, but you can't really build anything meaningful with fake data. So, I would want to bring in a partner that could provide real data for us to work with in creating this sort of productized, reporting and analytics set that we could make available, to other agencies. But I wouldn't want to have that partner give us data and not be a part of it, right? Like that partner working with us deserves to be part of figuring out what we create, as well as equal share in any sort of benefits that would come down the road. I mean, I could do this independently and you didn't need to know that I found a partner willing to participate with the data, but that wouldn't be the right way to do this.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I would love to brainstorm with you. Maureen, I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, that
maybe we could schedule an appointment offline and we could really. Yeah.
I think that would be the way to go.
Or we could talk a few more minutes, like you said, when we meet later this week on the other thing, and just see where you want to go from there.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Who else has a question for us? Or Cassie?
Or question or comment or observation, or if you're thinking about your own organization right now, you're trying to kind of put together how you would make use of the teams.
Actually, thank you. That's a reminder, Kerry, for if people did not hear me say this, just again, if it's helpful to you to see the list of prior organizations and the projects affiliated with those organizations, Amy, we have that document and Amy can email that to you. Just shoot her an email and let her know you'd like that. And Amy, we'll talk later today and I'll tell you where that document is located.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful. Even when we're just building internship descriptions, I think it's really helpful to see what other people have done before and how they've formulated it. I would also just add quickly that, as Maureen said earlier, and I know we have a couple people that joined after that, that you have access to this wonderful team for 8 weeks. You haven't maybe an idea in your mind of what you would like them to achieve. They may not get to the end of the, it may not get all the way to a solution, but it may be helpful to help them identify milestones during those 8 weeks that will get them close enough or closer to. And that's one of the ways that you can use those mentoring meetings or those touch base meetings, is to think about the milestones of your project. And honestly, some of the things that you just need a different point of view in terms of how to solve them, or you need a different mindset while you're working your other job or your regular job. It's very helpful to have somebody sort of cooking, these ideas cooking within the team, so that you can listen to those periodically when you check in with them, or your engagement can be more than that. We don't typically get involved with how you decide to manage the team as much as we want to make sure that you're getting the most out of your participation in the program and you're getting the most out of your team.
Yep. Before we do one last call for questions, Cassie, if you don't mind me putting you on the spot, just quickly, what might you share with the group about your experience as a student? To be clear, Cassie's actually an MBA MSW graduate of the University of Buffalo. Cassie, I think when you did the program, you were doing it as an MBA student. Is that correct?
Yeah, I served as an MBA student.
Yeah. So is there anything, when you reflect back, and I think, was it 2018 that you were in the program?
2019.
2019?
Yeah.
Okay. What comes to mind? What were the highlights or the high points for you as a student participant?
Yeah, I mean, similar to a lot of the quotes you guys have shared from previous fellows, it was probably the best academic experience I had in my 3 years at UB. It was just very unique in that it was almost like consulting. The organization gives you a project, you try and solve it, you give a proposal at the end, and having such meaningful impact within such a short period of time was really inspiring. And my team we won prize money at the pitch competition. So we actually got to see like this thing we proposed come to fruition, which was really, really a cool experience. And it did kind of shape my career path, and it kind of got me interested in consulting, working more on like the business end of nonprofits, helping with like project proposals. And that's kind of what I'm doing at Goodwill now. So it was a life-changing experience. It was really cool. And to be able to work with an organization like that, and it seems like it was a lot of work for the organization to put on, and it was really appreciative, like our whole team was, but it was something that I think was really unique. And I mean, given that a lot of nonprofits are stretched thin, I think having the student team with all the different disciplines, different backgrounds, we're able to come up with maybe more unique ideas that maybe the organization couldn't dedicate the time to. So I could definitely see the dual benefit between being a student in there and being an organization hosting it. It was a cool experience, and I'm grateful to do it as a student. And now I'm excited to the prospect of being one of the partner employers too.
Thank you, Cassie. Thank you so much. That's really helpful and valuable. Okay, folks, I think we're going to put one last call out there for any questions you might have. And again, one other reminder, if you have questions after today's call, do not hesitate to reach out. Reminder that application deadline is coming up just a little, what is that, a little more than 3 weeks? No, a little less than 3 weeks from now, Monday, February 28th at 11:59 p.m. Yeah, so any other questions for us? Well, we so thank you for being with us this morning and for your participation. And we are hopeful about seeing applications from all of your organizations. And let us know how we can continue to help you as you get to that process of submitting an application. And with that, I thank Kerry and Amy and Cassie as well for their role with today's session. And it was wonderful to see you all. I hope everybody has a great day.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.